Oh, this has been a terrific break for a fellow who's getting older and more wiser with years. Phil Bouffler is with us again for season 2023 for the Hume Footy League report. And it's good to be back, Phil. How you going?
Good to be back, Wayne. So we're up and about. So the off-season seems to get a little bit shorter every year. But a bit happens these days in the off-season. A bit of administrative type stuff. So there's always something going on with footy, a bit like the farm. So, looking forward to it. I think all the clubs are pretty pumped about it all. And there's been a few personnel changes here and there. But I just think I think it'll be a great season.
Great to be back. How's the weather conditions in your part of the world? The Riverina's had quite a bit of moisture. Has that affected the start of the season? I mean, grounds would be pretty cherry ripe, I would have thought.
Grounds are good, even though there's a forecast for rain on Saturday. They're forecasting 8 mils. So, the weather gurus have been up and about in the off-season, got everything wrong as usual. So, good luck about that. But, we've had quite a lot of rain. I almost stopped measuring. I think I would have had probably 250, 300 mils for the year already. So they said it was going to stop and it just keeps raining. So I got, but they're forecasting 8 mils. So the grounds look good, but it could be a little bit wet on Saturday, but it won't be a problem.
Good start to the season it will be for the Billabong Crows. Now, my mail is that they've been on a recruiting mission, and it's not from Adelaide Crows direction, but it's from Canberra. Maybe they'll be crowing a little bit down there at Oaklands and Riverina.
They'll be one of the improvers this year, the Crows. I think they've got 6 coming up from Belconnen, and George Sandrill's back playing with them. And so they'll have a pretty strong side. And it'll be interesting to see how these fellows from Belconnen adjust to the Hume League. But they'll be good. They've lost Nick Morris, a past best and fairest winner. But I think the Crows will be strong this year.
Tell you what, Lockhart are an improver. They took on Colliamberley in a trial match, and they did play pretty well. And I'm told that the new coach, Tom Keogh, is a pretty good player. And we might see the Lockhart side trouble a few teams along the way this year.
Yeah, let's hope so, Wayne. They've recruited a good coach, and he's got them going. There's a good positive vibe in there. And I think they'll be a big improvement from last year. I can't see them getting towards the point end of the finals, but I think it'll be a huge improvement on last year. I think they'll win a few games, and it's giving them something to build on. So in 2 or 3 years' time, they've got a lot of young players, and they'll come through the ranks, get a bit more experience, and they'll be a good side. So this is just another building year for Lockhart.
A building year it is when you have got good players and good coaches. But what about Osborne? They lost the flag fight last year after going through the season without being troubled. Then they got to the grand final and Holbrook shocked them. Well, now they tell me that George, the big GGG giant, he is going to be playing back at his own home deck at Osborne again. And not just him, but a couple of other big names.
George is back, so that's good to heading a local fellow back. He had a year over at Gunmain, so new dad George. So his and his partner have had a baby, so he's got a house in Lockhart now, so they moved back to the farm, and that's good to see. So they've lost a few. Obviously, Nick Madden went down to the Giants. He got drafted in the off-season. Isaac McDonald and Will Ryan have moved on. But they got Hayden Armstrong back from Canberra, and who was a very good player. And they got a new bloke called Matt McGrory. Mm-hmm. My son, he came from Gungahlin, so my son played with the Jets and said this bloke's a very good player. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes. But I think as the Osborne faithful were walking off Walbundry last September, there'd be a lot of football players would have been getting a ring, I reckon.
Oh, there was a feeling in the camp that we won't drop this one again. We'll wait and see in September of 2023. Henty would like to swamp their way in with some good players and maybe be in that top 6 at the end of the season.
They've recruited a few have gone. I don't think they've lost too many, Henty. I think they've got a few back in, a few new recruits from down Tlangata District Football League way. So they'll be just watch and see sort of thing. I haven't heard too much about Henty, to be honest.
Holbrook won the flag. Can they go back to back?
Once again, recruited well. They lost a couple. They had Ewan McKinley went back into Lavington. And the other forward, Colby Hennessy, he went off as well. So they had a couple of big losses, but they've got this fellow Raven Jolliffe who played with Wang Rovers, who's a good player, and Josh Jones has come back. So I think they'll be no weaker than last year, put it that way.
Oh, they're going to be good. The Lions from Culcan, will they roar in 2023?
They've got a few new players coming in. So a lot of these clubs haven't lost too many people, but they've got new people coming in. So that's been good. They've got Ben Gould's back. And once again, they've sort of gone down to Tlangata way and got a few of the Tlangata people coming up. So once again, it'll be a wait and see, just see how they go.
Some of the people are talking about the depth, and I know that Ramwell, Bunbury, Waller have got a bit of depth issues down into their under-17s this year, which is something that the league wants to address. How do you see the Giants?
The Giants have lost a couple and got a couple, so I think I'm not sure where I see them. They've worked very hard in the off-season to try and get. I mean, it's incredible, really. And they were the premiers in the under-17s last year, and this year they're unable to field the side. So kids get older and have gone up and that sort of thing. So it's just. And it's not true hard work, I can tell you. They've been worked very hard to try and get a side, but they had a letter from the other day saying no officially withdrawn from the under-17 side, so that's a bit of a problem. But once again, they're a bit like Howlong and Colcan. Haven't heard a lot about them, so we'll just have to see what happens at round one.
We'll go to Brock Burham. The Saints like to march in at the start. Can they take some early wins with the good side?
Yeah, they've lost a few, so obviously Matt Suter's retired. Tyson Yan has got into the Mummins and Murray, and Wilson Max got off somewhere for work, I think. So they've lost a few. So once again, that they'll be just a wait and see as well. There's a few sides like that, and we'll just have to see what happens once the first round gets underway.
CDHBU, the Power. Will they be a powerful side?
Well, I think they will be one of the bigger improvements this year. They've lost John Pratt, their coach from last year. Appointed a new coach, Kyle Doherty. He's had a couple of mates from Melbourne he's got coming up to play. And they've got probably 5 or 6 come out of Coral, with obviously the Coral of Rutherglen going into recess for 12 months. So they've done pretty well out of that. So I think they've got 5 pretty good handy players out of there. So I think they'll be one of the improvers for the HBU.
Last year's improvers, I thought was Gindera. They Bulldogs got real cracking. Are they going to keep that up this year?
Well, once again, I think they might. So Andrew Wilson, their coach, is retired. But they get Trent Castles back, who's been a very good full forward. He played with them. He's been around a bit, Trent, but he was playing at Mangapla went over there for the championship and had whatever that half-ass thing was during the COVID thing. And then he's come back from there and had another couple of years over there in the RFL, but he's back at Gindera this year. And so I think they'll be on the improve as well, Gindera.
Yeah, I think he's castled 1,000 odd goals in the time. He's a gun forward. I reckon one that Michael McCormack likes to talk about. Tell you what, the great man from out of Wagga Wagga, the Riverina member, he actually put himself up as a possible correspondent on the flow for RFL and for Farah footy. He might even have a Guernsey on the Hume if he keeps this up, Phil.
Well, Wayne, I'm always happy to hand over the reins to a more qualified person, so I wouldn't be offended.
Oh, dearie me. I reckon that you're qualified on the footy front slightly more than Michael is, but let's have a look at...
I'm a long-term Mangapla supporter, Michael, so if I ever go, my nephew played there a couple of years ago, and I often saw Michael with the footy, so yeah, he's a good MCU supporter.
Yes, he certainly is, from up the hill. What about this week's games? Just a quick tip. Hard to probably tip. We might just say where they are, but you'd expect Osborne to come out fighting and maybe beat Howlong up at home?
Well, we had a couple of sides to run by quickly, but I was going to say Howlong. We didn't mention Howlong, and they're going to be a big improve for Howlong. They've got a couple of blokes out of Cora. There's a young Matt Wilson and Jared Lane, who's a very, very good player. He coached Narandra a couple of years ago. I don't think they won too many games, and he won the Quinn medal. So that's how good he's going. He's a good player.
Yeah.
And so I think Howlong will be another one of the big improvers. So, that'll be a close game, that, Osborne, Howlong. Yeah. Do we want to tip that?
I'm going with the Osborne boys just as first upstart. I can't see them losing too many at the Fortress.
Osborne at home, I think I'm pretty happy with Osborne at home.
Oh, what about the old rivals here, Culcan and Henty, to start a season at the Culcan Showground?
Good game, this. They'll be pretty close. There won't be a lot in it. But once again, home game. I think Culcan might just sneak home.
Holbrook take on Gindera, another one of the close near rivals. I've gone with the Bulldogs here to have an upset over at the Hopper Country. No,
well, I'm not sure about that, Wayne. I think I might just go with the home side here. I think Holbrook, they'll have the flag raising. They'll be pretty pumped. And we'll see if a bit of malaise is set in after last year's win. But I would expect Holbrook to win at home. All
right, our mates over there at Lockhart, will they be celebrating down at the returned ex-servicemen's league club?
No, because they're playing in Albury. I will come home to that, Wayne, so I suppose that's a valid point. Yep. I'm going to tip Lockhart for a win, first off. There you go. I think the Magpies have lost a couple. They've lost a couple of their better players. We've gone across to the Ovens and Murray, so and Lockhart's new coach, and I think they'll be up and about, so I think Lockhart might get up there for their first win. A really interesting game for mine is Brock Burham and the Billabong Crows. That the Canberra group come down, but it's at Brocklesby. I just get a feeling that it's going to be close. I'm going to go with the Crow boys to get an upset to start the season. I'm with you, Wayne. I think the Crows could have this. From all reports, they've got 6. I was speaking to the president the other day, and he normally doesn't say too much, but he gave me a bit of a wry grin, Kevin, and I just when I asked how they were looking, so I think they're going to be fairly good.
If Kevin's grinning, then you know that they're going to be going all right.
I can tell you, Wayne, when Kevin's when we're up and about, there's something in the bloody to be happening.
Might have Dane Swan coming back for a return game this year if he's available. The winning Dane. But what about Ramwell Bundrywalla? At home, they play CDHBU. I think this is actually at the Wallace Sports Ground. This is a real chance for the Power.
I think the Power might get up here. There's a few games last year, like the Power played pretty well last year, but they took them a while to gel. So there's a few games you just got away from them, and this is the sort of game they would have lost last year. Righto, so they've got to win this game, and I think they will.
I reckon it's a really exciting start to the season. I tell you what, we've got the man who knows it all, Phil Bouffler, and don't you even for a minute think that Michael McCormick's going to be here on a weekly basis doing Hume football. We might just get an odd report from him, though, on those boys from up the hill at Mangapla. But nice to have you back, Phil. Nice to have the joy in your voice that footy's back.
That's a good, Wayne. So, no, it's nice. It's unbelievable, really. Like the weather was the thickest fog of all time this morning, and now it's a beautiful sunny day. So just, as I said, might be a little bit of rain on the weekend, but nothing to worry about.
Nothing to worry about tomorrow as they get out there and have an absolute go. A lot of players, a lot of new coaches, a lot of families looking forward to it. The canteen will be fired up and the bars will be working. The gatekeepers will be there and the horns will be tooting as country footy is back in the Hume. And Phil Bouffler's back. Great to have your company, mate. We'll catch up with you next week.
Good on you, Wayne. It's lovely to be back, and thank you for your support. It's much appreciated.